If you're looking to blow up your strict press, Sampu might be a very good option for you. It's an advanced German volume training inspired block that starts with 4 weeks of more of a base building phase before moving into a peak. Hey everybody, it's Coach Mark here. Before we move on to today's topic, make sure to find me over on Instagram as Coach Mark Estrabio. Also, I offer one-to-one coaching. It's what I do full-time. The odds are very good. I'd love to work with you. With that being said, let's talk strict press. Having wrapped up my most recent training block, I was really happy with how everything turned out. I was able to hit 10 singles at 90% of my best log push press every 90 seconds. So having wrapped up my most recent training block, I felt pretty good about how everything turned over. I was able to hit 90% of my best log push press at the top of every 90 seconds for 10 clean singles without any sort of technique breakdown. So what this tells me is my skill element is really high. Additionally, during this time, I experimented with some advanced German volume style training for my dumbbell incline press at roughly 60 degrees, and I felt that my shoulders got a lot stronger for it. But recognizing that my skill element on the log is really high right now, I feel like this is a good time for me to push just my baseline strength levels, and that's where this program comes into place. What I'm going to be doing is using an advanced German volume training approach for my strict log, which is obviously one of the best movements in terms of carrying over to your log push press. I want to focus more on my overall strength and work capacity in this regard, as well as build some bigger triceps and shoulders. So Sampu is a 2-4-week program, so 8 weeks total, that goes from AGVT phase into more of a max effort phase. I feel like this would work well for most any sort of strict press. You could even use it for a bench press variation. And in case you're wondering, Sampu essentially translates to 10 and upwards in Tagalog. And why 10? Because you're going to be doing 10 working sets in the base phase. Now, because this is based around strict press, my relative strength there is kind of lacking, and as such, I can't use intensity as much to build and drive progress, whereas I can use volume in this case. So as such, building that wider base is going to help me get to where I want to be. Additionally, something I'll be doing in the base phase is viper pressing every first rep. So I'll go one motion and then into my strict presses. And the reason why is I really like doing this, especially if I were focused more on accumulation, because it's not so much about getting that first powerful rep off the chest, right? I just want to build the overall musculature in the upper body, and by getting that eccentric leading into the first rep, I can start pausing with it on my chest, almost turning it into the same situation where a bench press, because you do have the eccentric leading into that first rep, you get a bit more out of it. And then in this base phase, while I am doing the strict press as more of a builder, I'm going to be doing push press with the axle as my max effort upper body lift. And the reason for this is this allows me to continue to practice and develop my leg drive on an implement that is a lot easier to apply the leg drive to. So then I can develop the skill of leg drive with the axle and have that transfer over to the log when it comes time to push the log push press again. And then conversely, when I switch it up and I am pushing the strict log for higher load, I'll be doing something such as a Swiss bar push press with more of a speed emphasis, because this will also allow me to deload a little bit. That way, while I'm pushing a heavy overhead press, I'm not beating my low back up too much with a ton of heavy push pressing on top of that. So in block 1, what you'll see there is it's 10 sets of 1 plus 4. So what that means is I'm going to viper press the first rep and do 4 strict presses thereafter. Same process in week 2. And then it's 1 plus 3 in weeks 3 and 4. And then I've got that percentage spread there, which is based off of a hopeful 1 rep max for me at the end of the training wave. And what's nice about having a target 1 rep max and using these percentages is it acts as a bit of a sanity check. Let's say that I have my target max, and in week 1, I cannot make it to 60% for a couple sets of 1 plus 4. I probably need to set my sights a little lower and recalibrate. So this does have a bit of an auto-regulation element to it. And then conversely, if I'm feeling good and I'm able to blow past these percentages in the base phase without exceeding maybe a 7 out of 10 on the intensity scale, that tells me I might be able to aim a little higher in the intensification phase, but I likely wouldn't just jump the gun and recalibrate my target max, because then in week 2, block 2, what we're going to do is we're doing ramping sets here. If you've been on the channel for any amount of time, you've probably seen this max effort progression. So for example, in week 1, it's 5 sets of 5. I'll start at 55% or whatever my target max is, and I'm just going to work up across 5 sets to hit a new 5 rep max. And ideally, I should be at or above 80% of what my target 1RM is in week 4 of this phase or week 8 of the program. And then the same process applies in week 2, where I would want to top out at about 85% or greater. And then in week 3, I'd want to top top out at roughly 95% or greater, and that sets me up for a new 1 rep max. So you can see how we build a really wide base of volume in the beginning phase, and then we really slash volume moving into the second block, but we still have a lot of workup sets, so we're acquiring skill, acquiring position, and especially on something like a strict press, I think a little more volume working up is a great idea because it allows you to feel those heavy loads. If you've ever done a lot of heavy strict pressing, adding 10 pounds can feel like 100. So by its very nature, this program is extremely basic, which is, I think, part of the reason that I feel it's very viable for what I'm trying to do here. Because I do have a pretty solid technical base right now, I just need more overall volume to build my strength potential. I also think this would be really fun to use in the off-season for something like a push press from the rack variation. You could even use it with a bench press. Might even do it with a log clean and press away if you feel really confident and competent in your positioning there and it doesn't beat you up too badly. Squats, it could work for some people if you really need to build your work capacity and your legs. Maybe do something like this for 8 weeks and then turn around and try to build to a new 20 rep maximum. I think that'd be a really good combination. So that'd be, a nice 16-week potential progression if we were to add an 8-week 20 rep max program on top of that. But I wouldn't use this with something like a deadlift. I think that might be a bit much. But hey, your mileage may vary. So that's really all I've got for you today. Pretty quick and basic one here. I simply wanted to introduce this progression. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any comments or questions, hit me down below in the comments section. The best comments and questions are ones I will turn into topic videos. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. I'll see you folks next time.